Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper and today I'm doing my top 5 favourite PS4 games. Now, the PS4, I would say, when I first got it, it was quite enjoyable in terms of the console, in terms of and as well as in terms of the games that I got, because I remember when Joker from Persona 5 appeared in Smash. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get a PS4, and yeah, and the amount of games that I got are really, really fun, really enjoyable. And this list is just going to be talking about some of my favourites that I've played since all the games that I've played on the PS4. So yeah, for number 5 is the first Fairy Tail game. Now this game is similar to the Attack on Titan game, as well as its sequel, in that it tells the story of the Fairy Tail manga and anime, mainly around about the end of the Tenro Island arc up until the the last arc before, well, the second to last arc before the battle of Fairy Tail versus Seraph. I think it's I don't remember that particular arc is called at the moment. No, it's Tartarus arc. There we go. Got there in the end, and it's basically that's where the game ends, and everything in between from that first part to the end is really, really cool. And I do like the whole RPG elements to it. And yeah, you've got all of these different characters with different elements, like elemental weaknesses, elemental resistances, that sort of thing, immunities. And it's really cool to have like your team mix and match with different characters. So you can have like Natsu, Gargiel, Lucy, Wendy, Elfman, or whoever is in your party at the particular time. And I would say, out of the two games, Fairy Tail 1 and Fairy Tail 2, I think I do prefer the first game a bit more, mainly because of the amount of stuff you can do in the game, and as well as the game kind of following both the manga and the anime's way of how you can do quests and stuff, because you can do side quests from the different boards, and the more amount of stuff you do, the higher your rank becomes. And yeah, I do prefer the first game, but just because of how it's done, and I think it's because it's the first one and it's really, really fun. So yeah, for number 4 is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now this is a very good remake, I would say. It's basically the first part of the original Final Fantasy VII. So mainly everything around Midgar. Whilst Rebirth takes place around the second part, like the next third. And yeah, it's a really good remake, and I do like the interactions with the characters, so Tifa and Cloud and Barrett, Aerith and Tifa, and everyone else. And that's really cool. The whole thing with the Whispers, or what my friend and I have called them, as well as I think a lot of people call them cop ghosts or canon ghosts, because that's basically what the Whispers are. They're basically just canon ghosts, and they basically just try and keep everything to the timeline. So like all of the events that happen in the original, and that's an interesting idea. I think it's an interesting way of furthering the plot and just adding more stuff to it in terms of what could happen, and will it follow on to the sequel, which I've played, and they were just really interesting in terms of how that's done. And yeah, I would say as a first part, it's really, really fun, and it's really, really enjoyable, and I do like how everything is captured in the game, especially when it comes to like the more establishing wider shots where some of the characters just look over specific areas and you just take it all in, that sort of stuff. So yeah. For number 3 is God of War 2018. Now this is a sort of reboot, or a soft reboot, of the God of War series, because it's following on from where God of War 3 left off. So that was where Kratos had basically destroyed all of Olympus and just basically destroyed all of Greece. And this is following on in Kratos' journey, but this time in the Norse pantheon. And it's a really, really fantastic game, and I do like the way of trying to have Kratos sort of like redeem himself and that by having him have a son with Atreus. And Atreus is just a very interesting character, and I think he was a good addition to the game because I think Cory Barlog in the behind the scenes thing, I'll probably be paraphrasing a bit from what he said, but he said something along the lines of that Atreus wanted, or you're seeing, like basically both characters are learning from each other. So Atreus is learning to be a god, Kratos is learning to be human. It's something along those lines, and yeah, that's a really interesting and cool idea of how Kratos can redeem himself, and I do like it's just a really cool continuation from the original trilogy, and the world you explore. So Midgard, Alfheim, Muspelheim, Jotunheim, all of these different areas that you explore are really interesting, and they all have their own type of lore to them. So yeah, it's just a very fun game, and also the Valkyries are very, very hard boss fights. So yeah, for number 2 is Insomniac Spider-Man. Now, this game is part of the Insomniac Spider-Man Marvel type of games, with the first one being the first Spider-Man game, then we've got Miles Morales, then Spider-Man 2, and then there's going to be that Wolverine game that we've seen a teaser for, but then I think part of it got leaked as well, so I'm not really too sure if I think that Wolverine game is still happening. I'm not 200% sure if it's delayed because of the leaks or something, but yeah, there is also that Wolverine game. But with the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, that's a really, really fun game, and I think similar to Persona 5 and with Joker being brought into Smash, the first Spider-Man game from Insomniac was another reason why I wanted to get a PS4, just so I can just experience this story. And I think it's a really cool story because it kind of does that sort of bait and switch, because you've got the first part where you have to fight Mr. Negative, and then as soon as he gets into prison, you're thinking, okay, the main villain is away now. How the game finish and how will it continue? And then you get a prison break with a lot of Spider-Man villains, and then Dr. Octopus as the twist villain, because in the game you are an assistant to Dr. Octopus before he became the Dr. Octopus persona, and throughout the game you sort of help Otto, just trying to build those extra limbs, so extra hands, extra legs, that sort of thing, for people who might have lost an arm or a leg. And throughout the course of the game, he thinks, okay, I could try and make other stuff that could help the body if it becomes or starts to fail, and then he becomes Dr. Octopus. And that's such a cool twist, especially when it comes to the prison outbreak where he formed the Sinister Six. So that's really, really cool, and I think it's just a really fun game, and I just really like all the interactions with Peter, along with MJ, Miles, Aunt May, Black Cat, who appears in the DLC, and yeah, it's just a really, really fun game as a whole. So yeah, and for number 1 is Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Now, I'm going to be putting these two games together mainly because they kind of follow pretty much the same game, but Royal has some expanded stuff, and yeah, the whole baton pass thing, some extra stuff in the dungeons, that sort of thing. And yeah, so with these games, I think they're really fun to play through, and they're kind of different to other RPGs that I've played. So like Fire Emblem and Pokemon, in that with Persona 5 and Royal, there are some extra stuff you can do, as well as some really cool stuff you can do when it comes to the combat. So you've got the main character Joker, who can switch personas on the fly. You've got the whole of the metaverse stuff, so the dungeons or the palaces in this case. You've even got Mementos, which is basically his multi-layered dungeon place, which is annoying, and I think even though a lot of the elements is kind of annoying and does get a little bit tedious, where you have to go back to it every so often to try and progress through it, I still enjoy how it's tied into the plot, as well as doing some Mementos quests. and stuff in there. So it's really, really cool and enjoyable. And yeah, I think when it comes to Royal specifically, I think it's made a lot of huge improvements over the original. In that one of those is the baton pass, because in the original, your party members could learn it through level up in the social links or the confidants, and in Royal they learn it straight away. So that's really cool, especially when it comes to Haru's palace, because with her father's palace, you can't really baton pass to her because you can only get her social link activated once you've finished it. So it's kind of annoying in the original, and Royal fixed that, and you can get your social stats up faster. That's really cool. So that means you can do more stuff with more of your social link guys. And there's also some new personas you can collect, as well as a whole new dungeon if you meet the requirements to get to it. And yeah, I think it's just a really fun game, and I think it's just a really cool continuation from the Persona series. So yeah, and whenever we do get a Persona 6, it's going to be really cool. And yeah, with the Persona 4 revival coming out sometime in the future, because we have gotten that teaser, or the very, very teaser trailer we got a few weeks ago. It looks really cool, and I think hopefully we are going to get some kind of Persona 6 sometime down the line. So yeah, so that's been my top 5 favorite PS4 games. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.